Ooh, oh, Jake, we did it. We did it finally. This is finally a winning edition of Titans Tube as we recap the Titans versus Chargers in yesterday's game Sunday. My name is Justin. This is Jake here at Titans Tube. Welcome in, everybody. Pop the bottle of champagne. It's time to celebrate. It's been so long. It's almost a year. And it did not come easy. The Titans gave the fans just the classic heartache and stress and anxiety, as they always do. Our lives are now shortened after having watched that full game. But we're here, Jake. We're here to celebrate. This team is now 1-1 on the season after securing a 27-24 victory in overtime. And oh man, it just feels good. I'm enjoying every second of this as I can, because life is short through the football season. I mean, we got to turn around and play another game in 6 days. So celebrate while you can, people. But man, it feels good, Jake. I got to say, like, at least from the second quarter on, this was a very entertaining, well-played, competitive football game. If you want to start with the first quarter, Jake, I mean, oh my goodness, it was just, things were getting worse and worse, man. And it was looking bad. And we had a huge spark play, one of the best throws I've seen Tannehill make. And he's made a lot of great throws to Traylon Burks deep. But before I get too ahead of myself here, Jake, how are you? How are you feeling about this win? Tell me what's on your mind after this offense finally got something going.
Absolutely, Justin. I very much share in your excitement and chomping at the bit to talk about this football game, because it has been 304 days since your Tennessee Titans have won a football game, Justin. You said almost a year, 304 days since that faithful Thursday night in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Todd Downing celebrated a little too much, and the Titans had not won a football game since that day last November. Unbelievable. Very, very proud of this football team, the way they fight. I mean, that's just the Mike Vrabel Titans, Justin.
These are the Titans. Yeah.
Exactly. It feels like we're all the way back as a Titans team, as a Titans unit. Just had to see one go through the hoop, to bring a basketball metaphor into it. Just had to see one go in, get a win, because, over the span of 8 games over the course of, almost a full calendar year. I mean, it was getting bleary. It was dreadful. It was bad, Justin. It was, my fandom was at an all-time low, and winning a close game like this against I know, point and laugh at the Chargers. They always do this. But I think the Chargers are a quality opponent, and it was really, really nice to see the Titans open the home schedule with a victory. Yeah.
Absolutely. I do it in front of the home fans is really like motivating too. It is good for the fans to be there and see that happen. It's going to, keep the fans, tuned in and looking good for future home games for fans to show up and cheer on their team. And like you said, like the Chargers are no slouch whatsoever. They're 0-2 to start the season, but this is not an 0-2 football team. This team was in the playoffs last year, should have won despite an epic collapse against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm expecting them to make another playoff push. They were missing some key starters, Austin Eckler and then Kendricks, their new linebacker they brought in. But the Titans are missing some starters too. So both teams coming in undermanned, but really, playing a competitive game. And it was. Man, I mean, if you want to start, we can talk about our quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, kind of returning to form. This is the Ryan Tannehill that we saw come here and revitalize this offense back in 2019. Ultra efficient numbers. That's been, Tannehill's hallmark since he's been in a Titans uniform. 20 of 24 on the stat sheet, averaging 10 yards per attempt. So just super efficient, managed the game well, no turnovers. The huge difference. We did not see the back-breaking picks that he was throwing last week against the Saints, and it made all the difference. I mean, the defense, kept giving opportunities back, to the offense, and Tannehill, didn't make any back-breaking plays, putting the defense in a bad situation. But to start the game, yes, it was like a hangover still from the New Orleans game. I was pulling my hair out seeing Tannehill take some of these sacks, some of them not his fault, but they were coming very inopportune times. Third down. I think we had consecutive third down plays that ended in a bad Tannehill sack. Chargers getting off the line scot-free with nobody even trying to block that defender on that one sack.
Yeah, the early fourth down, yes.
Yeah. And Tannehill almost retreating into his own end zone, trying to avoid a sack, losing what felt like 10 more yards. I was like, it was almost like, let's just see what Willis can do. I don't know. Like, I can't believe, like, maybe I'm a bad Titans fan, but I
not at all.
Had it.
Not at all, Justin. Yeah. And it's, you talked about, through the first quarter, the offensive struggles obviously continued. And even, about halfway through that second quarter, I think it was in the second quarter, Tannehill took that screen pass and he just dropped back and then took a sack at his own 1 yard line. That was bad Tannehill on display, and it really didn't flip until that second half or, the spark play to Burks that really, shocked this Titans offense awake after sleeping for the last 8 games dating back to last November. And, it felt like putting up 24 points, Justin. It felt like the fireworks were going to run out at Nissan Stadium because it was just felt great. It was a renewal of my Titans fandom to see this offense spring to life in the way they did. You mentioned it, Ryan Tannehill, incredibly efficient, but there was, as much as we need to give Ryan Tannehill flowers for a bounce-back game, good bounce-back performance, didn't lose us the game. There were those head-scratching plays, horrible sacks that he didn't need to take. And but, all in all, a great game from Ryan Tannehill, exactly what you want to see. And I wanted to also shout out credit where credit is due, Justin, because we talked a lot about the offensive coordinator last season. He even made an appearance just now in this video earlier on. But how about Tim Kelly? We should call him Chef Tim Kelly because he was cooking, Justin. I mean, the distribution of wealth in this offense was beautiful. I mean, Ryan Tannehill having a really, really efficient game. Just looking down the receiving stats here, Justin. Treylon Burks, 3 for 37 or 3 for 76.
Correct. Third time's the charm. Yeah.
Thank you. 76. 3 receptions for 76 yards. Obviously, I would like to see his targets go up. I would like to see those receptions go up a little bit, but he did make the X play that was probably play of the game up until Nick Folk's game-winning kick. And then you look at Chris Moore, contributed. It's been a while since we've had a number 11 at wide receiver contributing to this team, Justin. He caught the one great pass from Tannehill. That was another beauty dime down the field by Tannehill there. DeAndre Hopkins was efficient as well, 4 for 40, including that incredible, it was about 15-yard catch in overtime to set up the field goal. In the rain started to come down. That was exactly what you bring in DeAndre Hopkins for. And then, even going down the line, Chig had 4 catches for 35. Nick Westbrook-Akina, 3 for 25 in the touchdown. Always, NWI is always going to find a way to catch that touchdown no matter who we bring in here. Derrick Henry added 3 receptions. Spears had a good day on the ground as well.
Yes.
8 carries for 49 yards, 6.1 a pop, Justin. I mean, listen to these numbers. This is exactly what you hoped and dreamed the Titans offense would amount to under Tim Kelly, bringing in kind of a new scheme, and then all these new players and these new contributors on the offense spreading the wealth beautifully.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Tim Kelly, this is exactly, I think the Titans were trying to find kind of their offensive identity with all these new faces and how's the line going to mesh together. And there was a change made on the offensive line. We saw Xavier Newman get the start. And by the second quarter, when things were looking terrible, they brought in, Dylan Radins coming off that injury. And I guess he played much better, admirably. Maybe that was the key. That's when the offense started popping off, was when they put that change. But no, I think really what made the big difference, I think that spark, was that Treylon Burks play from Tannehill. Like, dude, the things were looking so bleak. I think the Chargers had just scored. I think they had just made it 11-0. Or maybe they had just punted the ball. I think the Titans had the ball, though, at the 25. So it was like after a touchback. And Tim Kelly dials up a hard play action to Derrick Henry and just letting Tannehill sling it down to Burks, which is exactly what this offense needed. And it sparked, the offense for the rest of the game. And maybe that can lead to momentum, throughout the next games coming up as we kind of find our rhythm here. with like you said, all these new faces and distributing the wealth. And yeah, I think you mentioned Tyjae Spears. 25 carries for Henry and then 8 for Tyjae Spears. Perhaps that's why the play action was very effective. I think it was another play action play that he got Chris Moore on a little bit later in the game too. But when you keep the running game involved, it absolutely helps make play action even more effective. And speaking of that, the Tannehill, I guess, triple option, the Chargers defense bit pretty hard on the fake handoff to Spears, and then he was able to wheel out and didn't even need to pitch it to Henry because there was so much space to run. So just a beautiful play, designed by or called by Tim Kelly. So big props to him. And dude, yeah. And speaking of Spears, and first of all, do you have any planks of wood? We need to. Before I say this, we need to start knocking on wood. But have the Titans finally found a reliable kicker? A, and B, the long sought after change of pace complement to Derrick Henry that we've been looking for. We've been looking for both of these things for 5 years, it feels like. And dude, Spears looks so good when he gets into the lineup. And I don't know, I think defenses are going to be more prepared for him because he's putting more tape out there. But I think in these first 2 games, especially, taking out Derrick Henry and bringing in another guy, and he's a totally different style of this flashy runner with great vision and balance and very slippery. Defenses are like, whoa, okay, this is a totally different kind of player. We need to, try to keep box in and rally around the tackle. I don't know if defenses have been ready for him these first 2 games because he's been looking really good. Always kind of a step or half a step ahead of the defender when he's hitting the hole. So I'm absolutely loving what I'm seeing from Tyjae Spears. And of course, the newest Nashville folk hero, dude. 7 for 7 starting the season, including an overtime game winner. A reliable kicker can make this bit difference between a win and a loss. So yeah, and then new faces, DeAndre Hopkins setting up that field goal. And yeah, you already mentioned, and then Chris Moore, just new faces finally coming in and making plays for this offense was desperately needed. And man, it was a beautiful sight to see. Yeah,
I can't agree with you more, Justin. The addition of a change of pace running back is something that the Titans have wanted to find ever since Derrick Henry popped a 99-yard run on Thursday Night Football all the way back in 2018. I mean, there were talks of Derrick Henry being traded out of Nashville. I mean, think back to that time. He started that
to Dion Lewis.
Exactly. Who they thought would be a good change of pace back to bring in with him. That didn't work out so hot. He was okay. And then ever since then, it was, the I can't even remember his name, the experimental guy from
Darrington
Evans, thank you, from App State.
Just couldn't stay healthy.
That is what they wanted to get out of that change of pace guy, and Tyjae Spears has provided that and more. And it's only been 2 games, Justin. 2 games has been all it's taken. And I'm with you in that he's probably surprising some defenses as the change of pace back in Tennessee, because you just focus, Derrick Henry, number 22, is coming right at your face and you're not going to tackle. And then, he exits the field, and typically, over the course of Henry's career, the guy behind him hasn't been so great, and you won't have to worry about that. But the 6.1 a pop on carries, Justin, he had a couple runs where he juked Derwin James out of his shoes. And wow. I love the grease lightning aspect that Tyjae Spears brings to this football team. It's something this offense has needed for a long time. And I'm with you, knock on wood for sure, over and over again. But I think they may have just found that in the Tulane alumni. Justin, Nick Folk, how about it? I mean, Nick Folk is our MVP through 2 games. I mean, talk about another guy who's come in and made an immediate impact, like you said. Gotta love it. Gotta love it for the Wiley veteran Nick Folk. It was 100% worth sending a 7th round pick to New England for him. Who needs him anyway?
Well, who's New England's kicker? It's so confusing seeing that. This is a long-time veteran, and he's been automatic so far. And these kicks are looking good too. He's not sneaking them in the uprights or doinking them or anything like that. I mean, these kicks are high and straight, right down the middle. Dude, he's looked like a polished, prime kicker. Who is New England's kicker? He's better than this guy?
it's I think it's hilarious, and it speaks volumes that Nick Folk has just gone 7 for 7, something most NFL kickers can do.
I'm ready to buy a jersey. Like,
and we're ready to buy his jersey here in Nashville. I think that speaks a lot to our kicker situation over the past several years. Unbelievable game, Justin. It was awesome. Our defense played great again. A lot of great stuff on tape there for the defense, and you mentioned it earlier, just giving the offenses opportunities over and over and over again to score points, because this Titans team can't score more than 27 or 30 in a given football game, Justin, and it's massive for this entire Titans team that our defense is good enough. I'm going to start saying it. I mean, top 10 defense, possibly, maybe not statistically, but I mean, they held the Chargers to under 300 passing yards. I feel like that's not the greatest benchmark in the whole wide world, but without your starting corner and Christian Fulton, without Amani Hooker in this game, holding Justin Herbert and that offense to less than 300 yards through the air is pretty admirable. And I think the way they played throughout the game, pretty admirable. Held them, to sub 20 points for most of the game.
Without even getting a turnover. So,
exactly. And it was, they really are a bend but don't break, as we've seen in recent years under Mike Vrabel. They get real stingy around that end zone. And it's good to see. It's just good to be back in the win column, Justin. Something I have to note, especially looking ahead to next week, where the Titans will be a 4.5 point underdog heading to the Cleveland Browns.
Man.
Since Mike Vrabel has become the Tennessee Titans head coach, Justin, they have won an NFL leading 23 games as an underdog since 2018.
Unbelievable, man.
It says it all.
Yeah, I love being the underdog. This team plays so much better for some reason with their backs against the wall. It's insane.
You said it to me on Sunday. We texted, the Vrabel team zig when you think they're going to zag, and they're going to zag when you think they're going to zig. Just in terms of performance and winning, and as soon as your hope is all the way in the basement, they'll get a big win against a team they weren't supposed to. Hence the 23 games as an underdog, winning since 2018.
Yeah, such a credit, to Vrabel. And, you throw in the stat, too, of how we're possibly, I think, the most injured team over the past 2 seasons. So he's doing it with guys, and he's getting guys ready to play like that, very much that Patriot, next man up, mentality. So that's just kind of the culture, that we've seen Vrabel establish here. And so it's no surprise that the Titans have won, that many games as underdogs with the personnel that they have with backups in several spots. Going back to the defense real quick, we shouted out some new faces on offense, but a couple new faces on defense, out here making plays. How about Sean Murphy-Bunting recording 3 passes defensed? I know he had a big-time pass breakup late in the game. I think it was to Mike Williams. And, man, how about the linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair? This guy brought over from San Francisco. Dude, first of all, can we go a game without him committing a personal foul 15-yard penalty? This is now the 2nd game in a row. I think it was the horse collar this game. Last week he hit Derek Carr high, so got to calm down. But dude, the way he's built, the way he flies around, he is fast, he's strong, he's got length. He looks like a freak of nature running around, and it seems like he's always around the ball, making plays. He hasn't really made that huge splash play like a big sack or a turnover, forced fumble, what have you. But I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. You see number 2 all over the field, almost every defensive snap doing something. So these look like quality additions, man. So big shout out to them. I thought they played a good game. Big shout out, Harold Landry coming back from his ACL, recording his first sack of the season since getting hurt. In an incredibly opportune time when we needed a huge play to force a field goal to then force overtime. Harold Landry had a great rush going right at Herbert, pushing the O lineman back into him. So showing that he's still got it, man. You can't take out his knee. Just ask, maybe he got some some Tajay Spears tips. You don't really need knees anyway. Whatever is going on with Tajay Spears' knees is incredible. Whatever happened to him, but good to see Landry bounce back. So hopefully we get more of that. And then again, Simmons and Autry both recording another sack for the second straight game. This defense is looking as advertised, especially on the front side. And I know they were missing Eckler, but the rush defense again was outstanding. As a team, Chargers were 21 rushes for 61 yards with a long of 15 from Joshua Kelly. So, I mean, if you want to, nitpick and take out that 15-yard run, that would be 20 carries for 46 yards. So just like 2.5 yards a pop. We made them very much one-dimensional. And finally, one thing I did not like about the defense, actually, I don't know if not having Fulton back there or Hooker back there, hurt us in this aspect, but there's many times where receivers were running wide open. Like maybe it was part of the prevent defense where they were trying to tie the game to get into overtime, but they got down the field in a hurry. Like we were giving up chunk plays through the air. It seemed like to Keenan Allen, guys, running scot-free. Guys aren't even 5 yards within him. So I don't know what's causing that, if it's the scheme, miscommunication, but you would really like to see that cleaned up to kind of round out what's a really solid defensive unit here for the Titans. So I don't know. Does that concern you? Is there a reason why we seem to just be losing receivers on the field? I don't know, but hopefully that's something that the defense can kind of key in on, this week and clean up.
Definitely. And you look at the past couple of years, it's been a steady presence in the secondary with Fulton, Byard, Hooker, and then building on drafting guys like McCreary and Elijah Molden has kind of rounded out that group a little better. But you think back in the revolving door of corners that we've had, and you look at the secondary on Sunday, Justin, there was no Fulton or Hooker, and that's two of their best players out there in the secondary. Again, everybody's dinged up. Everybody's got injuries. It's no excuse. But, you got Trey Avery going against a guy of Keenan Allen's caliber, and it was very obvious who's going to win that battle throughout the day. I mean, you think back to the second half touchdown for the Chargers. Keenan Allen on a little double move was absolutely butt naked in the end zone, wide open. So, and I just feel like the Titans – stout up front. They're going to have a pass rush, but they're going to let up some yards through the air, and that's just kind of how that bend don't break kind of flow of the defense operates. And it's something we've watched for a while under Vrabel, and I don't think it concerns me, but I'm with you, and this defense is as advertised, and this defense is good enough to keep us in almost any game, no matter how bad the offense looks. I mean, think about how bad the offense looked last week in New Orleans, and the Titans lost by 1 point, and we're in that game late. And that speaks volumes to hopefully the kind of team this can be. And there's an old mantra: defense wins championships. Justin, I'm not saying anything.
You just called it, didn't you?
I'm not saying anything. But you never know. You never know. This defense is good enough to keep us in many a game. I don't know if that kind of wraps up this game. I briefly mentioned it. Justin, the Titans are underdogs again, going on the road next week to Cleveland, who plays tonight. Tonight is Monday night. They're playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Should get to see some good tape on them tonight on national TV. Do you have any immediate thoughts about this matchup with Cleveland, or going on the road to face what could be a 2-0 Browns team?
Yeah, very much so. I'm kind of expecting them to win this game after what we saw from the Browns week 1 against the Bengals, totally shutting down the Bengals. Bengals having a slow start to the season themselves, though, so maybe that had something to do with it. I think they won that game 24-3. So we'll see what they look like tonight. They will be coming off a short week against the Titans, so you'd think that might benefit the Titans a little bit. But, that remains to be seen. But as far as I'm concerned, the Browns, it's all about Nick Chubb and stopping Nick Chubb. He was a force to be reckoned with. running the football. He seems like he has an incredible. He seems like he's averaging 5 to 6 yards a carry every time I look at his stat line, game to game. Nobody can seem to slow this guy down. I know the Browns have a great, offensive line that helps them out. I think did Jack Conklin, is he out for the season?
He was carted off. I think he's out for the year. I don't know to confirm that, but I wouldn't anticipate seeing him next week in the Titans.
Yeah, that hurts because we here in Tennessee know how great of a player Conklin is. We wish we had kept him. But we kind of know how that goes with losing really solid offensive linemen, whether it's Conklin or we lost Taylor Lewan a few times, at the tail end of his career. So we'll see how that affects their offensive line. But, you got Deshaun Watson back, and who knows, is he fully back? Is he clicking now back at what he was doing, in his last year with Houston, looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the league? So they have some weapons. And the defensive side too. You can't sleep on their defense. We saw this offensive line struggle with Joey Bosa when he came in on limited snaps. He had a bad hamstring, but he was still able to cause major pressure and sacks, disruption on the offensive line. And you have a guy who's a step above him and above most of all the NFL in Myles Garrett. So so he's going to be a huge challenge. He can be a game wrecker, man. We've seen it back-to-back weeks with these top tier pass rushers, and Cameron Jordan causing problems, Joey Bosa causing problems. Now you have a guy that's better than both of them in Myles Garrett. So huge challenge ahead in trying to block their front. This Browns team could be good. They could be competing for that division there. So far, so good after one game, and we'll see what that looks like tonight. But we know how quickly things can change week to week with, if you look at this Titans team, how the offense looked, but now how did they look, yesterday? So we'll see. It'll be an interesting game to watch. It should be a fun game. So we'll, buckle up. Let's try to get to 2-1 and see if we can get some momentum here. What about you? Your thoughts, Cleveland?
I am terrified. I'm terrified, Justin, of Myles Garrett. That's exactly what I was going to bring up with this game. That is, if we want to talk keys to the game, there really only is one, and it's how do we stop Myles Garrett from coming through this offensive line? I think we need to triple, quadruple, maybe all 5 guys on the offensive line just flood to Myles Garrett, and then we'll flip it out to the other side. I don't know, Justin. I don't know what the scheme is to slow down that Browns defensive front, but they're going to have to dream up something, and I'm looking forward to getting to watch a full Browns game this evening. And see what they really have. I don't know if Deshaun Watson is back to his Houston form. I wouldn't say that just yet, but he played a gritty game in that rainstorm against Cincinnati week 1. We'll see how he looks tonight against a Pittsburgh team who, on paper is not as good as the Cincinnati team. But I mean, the Bengals are 0-2. Don't tell anyone. But who's to say? It's still very, very early in this NFL season. And, hopefully the Titans can go up to Cleveland and make it 24 games as an underdog, coming out as a winner in the Mike Vrabel era. At least I have a lot more hope now than I did even just a week ago, Justin. So I'm feeling a lot better about this Titans team now that we saw one go through the hoop, to bring back that reference. And just feeling good overall. Feels good to have a victory Monday for the first time in 304 days.
Yeah, victory Monday, dude. It's been a long time since we've said that. As far as the Browns go, I totally agree with you. I think it's easy to point out the keys. You got to shut down Nick Chubb. If this defensive front can shut down Nick Chubb, something that very, 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 very few defenses I feel like have managed to do the past few seasons, really since he's been in the league, we could maybe say this is a top 3, definitely top 5 rush defense, at least in the NFL. They've pitched 2 games back to back, and that's going to be a huge challenge and key for them to shut that down. And then, of course, on the other side, you said it, get Myles Garrett as far away from Tannehill as possible, because that is problems. That is big warning, red flashing signs if he's anywhere near him. Underdogs, man, we love that. We're bringing the underdog to the dog pound. We'll see who can come out on top
in the battle of the dogs. I like it. We're going to be the next fan base with the dog masks from Philadelphia. a couple years ago. But I like it. I like it, Justin. Feeling good about this Titans squad. Feels great to get a victory. Shout out our new hero, Nick Folk, the wily veteran. He's got some gas in the tank, and gotta love it. Gotta love it. I think that's gonna do it for our Monday show, Justin.
It's great.
Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. You know the deal. Tighten up. Next week's a brand new week. Let's go up to Cleveland and try to make it 2 in a row.
Love it.